Hello, everybody. It is Mr. Frost coming to you from my kitchen and my Xbox headset. You might be wondering why I'm using this, and I think this is the best way for sound to work. So that's what we're going to go with. And it might be a little obnoxious, but hopefully you forgive me. So, welcome to the first of many of these little videos that I'm going to make while we are out of school. This is partly a way to stay engaged, but as you know, we can't move forward in our scope and sequence, so we won't follow the regular units. But I figured I could pick some cool topics that could still keep us engaged in psychology. And in case you're really, really bored and you just want to learn more from me, this is a way to do that. So I figure that this first video will do two things. The first thing that I want to do is tell you that if you are stressed, if you are depressed, if you're just not feeling really good right now, that is okay. That is normal. And there are millions of Americans who are right there with you. I'll even say that this isolation and quarantine has been so hard for me. A lot of the way I find meaning in my life, but also comfort and connection, is coming to school and being with you all. So when that is taken away from me, that has been really hard. And I've had to kind of figure out different ways to stay engaged, to stay healthy, and to stay happy. One of the ways that I've done that, which is something I think you also can do, is to focus on what you can control. So there's so many things going on in the world right now, and there's so many people who are having to make decisions, and it's easy for us to feel like we don't know where to turn, we don't know what to do, we don't know if we can do anything. And so something that I suggest is taking a piece of paper or a whiteboard, like I'm going to do with a little whiteboard, and if you take two circles, there's one circle, there's another circle. Okay, you can draw them like that. My circles look kind of weird, and this one's smaller, but that's all right. If you take two circles, and then on the top of one of them, write things I can control, and at the top of the other, things I can't control. Okay. Kind of like this. You all already know I have bad handwriting, so I will not apologize for it. If you do that, and then on the left side, I want you to write down things that you can control. So things that I'm going to write are breakfast. I can make breakfast. Time I wake up. Who I talk to. And which books to read. Okay. Again, ignore the handwriting, just focus on the task. So here I wrote a couple of things that I know that for sure I can control. When I want to get up and make breakfast, if I want to have breakfast at 9 o'clock, if I want to have breakfast at 3 p.m., which I have done this during this time, I can do that. Okay. I can't even read my own handwriting. Oh, time to wake up. Yes. So time to wake up, I can control when I wake up. I can control who I talk to. So if I want to call my mom at, every day I can. If I want to call my sisters every other day, I can do that. And then which books to read. So I have a bunch of books over there in my bookshelf, and I can control which of those I want to read. On the other side, I want you to write down things that you cannot control. So I'm going to write when school opens, when the virus stops spreading, and let's say, oh, how many restrictions the government, the word will be puts in place. That's not a word, that's three words. Okay, so on the other side, things I cannot control. Now, what I want you to do is when you write down the things that you can control, things you can't control, I want you to erase everything that you cannot control. And I want you to essentially forget about it. Everything. Just get rid of all of the stuff that you cannot control. Okay? The reason why I want you to do that is when you're in a situation like a crisis like this, where there's so many things changing, where there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of things happening, it is best if you only focus on what you yourself can control. You will stress your brain out. You will stress yourself out trying to think about all of these other things well, when are we going to end? When are we going to do this? And really, none of it's in your control. And so there's no use in toiling over it. But what can make you feel better is if you focus on the things that you can control. Right? If I can focus on the fact that I can make breakfast every day, and if I do make breakfast every day, I can feel a sense of accomplishment about that, and that can give me the tiny little boost of dopamine that I might need to get me through that moment. Okay, it's all about the small things, thinking about the small things and what you can do right now, today, in your control to give yourself a sense of accomplishment and a sense of purpose in what you're doing every day. On that note, it is best if you stick to some kind of schedule. Does not have to be the same schedule. I certainly do not wake up at 5:30 every morning. But if you still say, I'm going to get up, I'm going to shower, I'm going to make breakfast, I'm going to do some schoolwork from 11 to 1, then I go outside at this time, and then, right, a regular schedule can give you that feeling of purpose and give you a little feel good boost because our brains love routine. They thrive off of it. That is why we feel really uncomfortable and really unhappy when our routines are ruined because it makes us feel comfortable and safe and predictable. So try to give yourself a little bit of sense of that. So that's all I'll leave you with today. I don't want to go too deep. I just want to say hello again and give you a boost. What I also would love is if you could let me know what types of topics that you want me to talk about. It can be anything in the world. As you know, I tell you, psychology applies to absolutely everything. So we can talk about all sorts of types of different different. That got really repetitive. We could talk about all different types of topics in psychology that you want to learn more about that maybe you don't have time to talk about in school. I'll kind of collect everyone's and see where we go from there. So it's been good to hear from you. Please stay in touch, and we'll see you tomorrow.